Hi guys, welcome to my channel where I take you on tours of unique spaces and showcase stories of people living alternatively. In today's episode, we're taking a tour of a van dwelling that is not only wheelchair accessible, but it was also completely built out by two wheelchair-bound friends. So for those of you who thought van life probably isn't possible for the disabled, this van owner is challenging that idea and changing minds. And I think you're going to be really impressed with some of the clever ideas that he's incorporated into this build. But before we take a tour, if you like videos like this where we showcase stories of people living alternatively, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know every single time we publish a new video.
Hi, I'm Loren.
I'm Karla, and this is Lola.
And this is Van Grotto behind us. Our 144 Sprinter has about 90 square feet to live in. That gets even smaller because I use a wheelchair. So having the wheelchair means we had to do a lot of different things when we built it out. So one of the things that made this build the most challenging is trying to make it accessible in such a small space for a power wheelchair. What we had to do was really minimize everything that we built into it. All of the cabinetry had to be small, the appliances had to be small, and they all had to be either so high or so low that it would allow me to get around. When we bought the van, we gave it to a builder. He was going to have it done in a year, and it just didn't happen. The accessibility was just beyond what proved out for him to be comfortable. That's when I started talking to a friend of mine who also uses a wheelchair. He and I decided we could do it ourselves. What made it work, in my opinion, was that both of us use a wheelchair, so everything was being tested against our knowledge of accessibility. So we would build a little, see if it worked, pull it out, make it a little bit better, and it's taken us a little over 18 months to get it to the point where it is right now. Literally every inch of this thing was space that I could use in the wheelchair. Now I got to disclose how much it cost to my wife. Yeah.
Can we say a kidney?
Yeah. The van new cost about $70,000. We have about $25,000 in the adaptive modifications for the lift, for me to drive it. And then we have about another $50,000 in the modifications for the electrical, for the water system, for the cabinetry. And then finally we have probably $15,000 in some of the things on the outside. We're going to start taking weekly trips, monthly trips, but the goal is that the van be modified for a full time. The way I get in and out of the van is using what's called a super arm. And it's quite a bit different than a lot of wheelchair lifts that you're used to seeing on school buses and other traditional vans where the lift comes down and touches the ground. The reason I didn't go with that is because that requires that you land on very flat ground. And we want something that will be able to take us out into the wild and be able to land on any type of surface. So this kind of lift, I put on the two straps, and then it'll take me up into the van and out.
Okay, I'm going to show you the inside of our van, so come on in. We have a fold-up table here that when we're driving, we put it away, but it makes our space a little better for prepping food. For cooking, we use an induction stove. We're pretty new to it, but we have tried and it works pretty good. So we have our storage here for all of our coffee maker, electronics and everything. Whenever we're stationed, we have a little shelf here where we can put our coffee maker and stuff here. Plates, dishes, and everything is here. Our sink with water purifier. And we have our microwave here and the refrigerator on this side. For storing our window covers, we built these pockets where we can put everything away when we are parked. So it's coming out pretty handy, so things are out of the way. Yeah. And we have a max air fan here that we get to use quite often.
So we built the entire interior out of 80/20 extruded aluminum, and that includes the bed, which elevates. And this allows us to take the bed up and allows us to put our bikes in the back, or allows us to go to Home Depot or do anything with the van with the interior space. And then it also allows us to have breakfast looking out the back if we want to. So we really enjoy that. When I purchased the bed system, I didn't like much of it. So we rebuilt the entire bed. The only thing that is from the manufacturer is the motor and the belts. And then I rebuilt the electronics so that I have 2 remote controls so that I can raise and lower it from back here or from the front of the van. So we built an elevated bed so that I would have the utility to put my bike in the back if we decided that we were going to take that. So I ride a hand bike, which is considerably bigger than our traditional bike. Our goal with this van is to go up to the Northwest, go into other parts of the country, and find trails that we can get out and ride our bike and take the dog for a walk. Just really enjoy getting out and getting in nature with our bikes and going further into the wilderness than I can in the wheelchair. So on the inside, we designed this so that I can get around. And so you can see the height of my knees and the height of the refrigerator. I can roll underneath it. Same over here, I can roll underneath it and I can get around. So then by making the bed go up, I can come back into the rear of the van. On the driver's side wheel well, we've got the Rixson hot water system, and this is running off diesel, and it's got a little furnace that gives us instant hot water, also gives us hot air back here. The system also has a separate manifold so that we can get hot water and hot air from the Sprinter engine, and then a third, if we're plugged into shore power, we can also get our heat from AC. As I've mentioned, everything about this was custom in. One of the things that my wife and I had fun with was all of the fabric, all of the interior. She did a great job of sewing. Her and her mom helped us on that. And so every part of this is just custom built. When we were building this out, we really wanted to insulate it. We're gonna try to not have an air conditioner on top. So insulated it as much as we can with havoc wool. And again, the back of the van, every inch mattered. So you can see underneath we've got, next to the wheel wells, just a little bit more space, which allows me to be able to turn around inside. So the reason I use a wheelchair is because I had an accident in my early 20s playing baseball, and I have a spinal cord injury, and so I'm considered a C5-6 quadriplegic, which means I don't have use of my legs, but I also have limited use of my arms, and my fingers don't work all that well. So everything is designed so that I can open and close it. So you'll see things like the handles here. Not only do they allow me to reach them, but also they're not rigid, so that if I did run by, I wouldn't hook it on a piece of clothes or something like that and do damage. Right here I've got all of my lights. This controls the lights in the van, on the floor, and up in the ceiling. So we've got just about 6 different ways we can light the interior of the van. Again, these are designed so that they're easy for me to switch on and off like that. Coming up here, I've got my gauges for the water so that I know how much is in our gray tank and how much is still remaining on board of our fresh water. And again, more accessibility, having just a little bit more area for my knee to get under allows me to get up and occasionally wash the dishes, but also this is our sink for brushing our teeth. On the wall, we've got our control panel. The top one is for the Rixson hot water, hot air system. In the middle is the Red Vision system for all of the electric. And then at the bottom is the controls that I can also take the bed up and down. One of the things that I knew I wanted in this van was a way to make it so that I could get from the driver's seat to the bed without actually having to transfer into my chair. The reason for that is that when we're traveling, this area is quite busy, and also after a long day of driving, it's pretty tiring to do 2 more transfers. What I did was I put in a gantry rail across the top of the van. What that allows me to do is to get into this harness and basically just slide to the front or slide to the back of the van without actually having to get into my wheelchair. It works pretty damn good to be able to just, I can go right up to the front and lower down, get in it, and just, the interesting part is when the van's not level, it'll take you on a ride. So it gets kind of funny. One of the things that we have not completed in the van yet is the bathroom. And our idea is to use the van a little bit more and to figure out exactly what we need and probably also what we don't need in it. What we think we're going to do is have some type of toilet that is in the back of the van below the bed, and that simply we raise the bed up, we'll have a curtain, and that gives you a pretty good sized bathroom for either of us. A lot of the design went into the fact that we love our dog and we want to be able to travel with her being comfortable. So the bed is where she travels when we're on the road, and also that there's places for her to get water and her food. The floor is designed to be very dog friendly as well. Because I have some hand function limitations, I drive with hand controls for both the steering, which just gives me better control of the steering wheel because I can only steer with one hand. And then my brake and my gas is with my left hand. And the way that works is you push down for gas and you push forward, and that applies the brake. So this is called a 6-way seat, and it allows me to go back further than what the factory controls are, and that just allows me to go back far enough, and then I rotate around to get into my wheelchair, and then coming back I just use this to go all the way forward to get up to the front of the van. Up front, we're using a CA2 bumper with a winch 12,000 pound synthetic line on it. Suspension is a Van Compass 4.3 with the Falcon shocks on it. We're running 275 all-terrains on Method wheels, and we've modified the fenders just a little to allow for the tires not to rub on it. A lot of my controls I put right in this area because it allows me to reach them both from the ground and also when we're up in the van. And so here you can see that I've got the ARB compressor, and then next to that I've got the awning controls. We have a power awning. The reason I've got the water and the air right here is mostly because my wheelchair gets quite muddy. And so as I'm going up into the van, I or my wife can grab either or both and clean off the tires for the wheelchair so that we try to keep the van as clean as possible. Pro tip, that always works really good for the dog too. Coming around back, you can see that in the back I've got the Owl big box, and I've modified it slightly to host my folding tracks. And I just wanted to make it so that I could get those really easy. Not because I get stuck a lot, but because we also use those to elevate one tire or the other when we're camping. So we'll pull those out and raise one of the tires. One of the things that I wanted was a lot of water. And so when I moved the tire up to the rear, I welded up stainless steel tank, and underneath I'm running 44 gallons of fresh water, and in the same tank but separate is 15 gallons gray water. And so I've got both of those on electric valves that I can empty from inside. Then back here I've got the ability to turn off the entire system and isolate and turn off the solar system. The small port you see right there is so that I can run an external solar panel. We are in Arizona, we like to park in the shade, which limits your solar capacity. So I've got an extension and a 100-watt panel that I can set out and at least trickle charge during the day while we're out. Over here we have one more port for the shower. We can take a hot shower back here from right there. And then we also have one table that we can set up. We really enjoy having our wine at 5 every evening, so we wanted a table, and I wanted to be able to put the table so that I could get it from the back here or to be able to get it from the interior. So we just mounted it right on the door right there so that it wouldn't be bouncing around. Let's see what I got. Okay, so I'm running a Red Arc electrical system, and it allows me to get power from 3 sources. One is shore power, and then I'm getting off the alternator, and then I have solar power. Up top I've got 3 panels, each 100 watts, so I'm running 300 watts of solar. And that feeds down into a Red Arc Red Vision system that is managing currently 2 100-watt Battleborn batteries, but we built it so that there can be 2 more, which will give me a total of 400 amp hours of battery once we get it done. In the system, I've got a 3,000-watt codec inverter, which is a little bit more than I probably needed, except for I need to be able to charge my wheelchair once a day. And so that allows us to keep the chair topped off. If there's one thing I've learned in this is that the adage that it takes twice as long and costs twice as much is unbelievably accurate. It just has taken us 2 years to get this to the point where I'm comfortable taking it out. Probably a week doesn't go by that I don't get contacted by somebody else who has seen what we're doing, who also has a disability or who has a family member and wants to know where can they buy it, or how much did it cost, or what could we do to help them. If anything, that speaks to the fact that people with disabilities also want to travel. And there's so few resources out there right now for them to just buy an accessible vehicle. It's obviously expensive, but probably equally difficult than the cost is that when you have a disability, you need more space. And space is such a commodity in a van or in a truck or in a RV that it becomes so difficult. And I think that's why manufacturers just have not opted in to this market, because it is difficult.
Thanks for watching this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you soon with another unique space tour.